Arundhati Nag, thank you so much for speaking with Deccan Herald.
Thank you.
We have to start with this question which everybody has to ask you. It's not 15 years. What do these 15 years mean to you?
Sometimes it seems like yesterday that the theatre opened, and sometimes it seems like this has gone on for so long. 15 years seems like a lifetime, yeah? So I guess I oscillate between these two feelings of exhilaration and wisdom.
Philosophical.
Very, very wise. And suddenly then, like a tsunami, it takes you by surprise because the creature is still growing.
Yes.
Yeah. It is such an old craft, such an old art. I think one of the oldest because
yes.
It is a branch of storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah, it is storytelling. And if you want to know the first storytellers, then it was the caveman.
With the fire in the
sitting around a fire,
yes.
and talking about his daily hunt, and then embellishing it with more truth and more lies and more detail,
right.
and making it into a performance.
Right.
So here is this ancient expression of mankind, and I think one of the most free spaces, yeah? Because dance really needs riyaz. You can't
right.
do an Allaripu without having a
Absolutely.
guru. You cannot sing a Yararag Yaman without having learned Saregama Padanisa and more. But theatre being such an image of us, behavior, normal
yes.
behavior, an extension of it, you can get by. We're always imitating someone
yes.
or the other.
Yes.
And it's really like someone told me, the day your child tells a convincing lie, she has joined the theatre.
Right.
Yeah, so for me it is constant learning. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know more,
yes.
so much. So for me it's a great opportunity to learn more. It's a lot of responsibility. So again, learning more
Right.
about how to shoulder so much responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
The amount of emotional investment that you had, the energy that you had, we were talking about that obsession, madness. How was that at that point? Very stark future ahead, but with this one obsession.
You know, I was almost like, if you've read Das Spake Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche,
yes.
the foreword, Nietzsche writes, I write with my blood. And it is like a carriage that passes your house and your house shudders. He says, sometimes I am in the carriage and sometimes I am the carriage itself. Your house shudders.
Right.
What about me? It's that intensity I write with my blood. There is really no other way of doing something like this for an ordinary person like me. I am not a rich woman or a politician or a person who was out there in the world connected to the industry and all. Just an ordinary theatre actor married to a boy who was talented and was a very famous actor. Now Shankar was not loaded with money either,
yes.
because he was spending his money doing 1,000 projects.
Yes.
So if someone like me has to do a project as big as this, be the propeller of a project, obviously I was not alone, but I was the propeller, then you have to have, either you have to have the money or you have to have the madness. I didn't have the money, I had the madness. So it's like that, you know,
yes.
that kind of obsession. You get up in the morning and the first thought is, okay, now whom am I going to ask for money today? And when you go to sleep, you say, okay, I have called up this one, he has called me after 1 year, I called up another person, he said maybe 2 months later, and you go to sleep with that thought that I've done something about it today.
Yeah. And it's like a woman possessed with this idea of not letting go of this dream.
Yeah.
Now, while this was happening, you also had a child to bring up. And you are in such a, I remember you're saying that you're in such a tight financial condition.
Yeah, I think if there is one person who has paid the price of Ranga Shankara, that would be my daughter. Because she had a mother who was half there. A mother who would run. If somebody said they're going to give cement, she would just take the car and run. Yeah?
Right.
So she has seen that.
Right.
And I think for some time she couldn't understand it. She was very young, 15 years ago. She was also hardly 15.
Right.
I mean, we are talking of 20 years ago, so it was even younger.
Yeah.
But now she is 34 years old and she can see that you cannot achieve something so big without giving a part of yourself to it.
And it was a very difficult time when you're trying to perhaps fill a vacuum with the energy that was there with you in the flesh. And you are also a person with so much energy, and this is what perhaps attracted both of you all when you're doing theatre in Bombay.
Yeah, to lose your friend who also happens to be your husband, it was a whole combination of, I mean, it was not just a marriage or just an animal lust that brought us together. There were many things, shared values. To lose a companion at 34 is a big, huge loss.
Absolutely.
So what was left was Kavya really for me. And thank God for her, because that became reason enough to live. That became reason to retain sanity. And that carried me through to find the energy to do this. You know? So I would not say that anything took away energy. Even that tremendous loss became like an energy source. Tremendous loss, a vacuum, an emptiness then propels you to, you have nothing to lose, nothing more to lose, you know.
Right.
You can only give.
Right. That's a very profound moment that you find with such great difficulty at a point in life. You realize that. And I dare say also that apart from Kavya being the thin strand of reason that kept you from going completely insane with this obsession, there's also perhaps the energy that was perhaps learnt by your muscle memory, as it were, of having spent so much time with someone as lightning fast, as full of energy like Shankar.
Sometimes it becomes kind of irritating to have so much of energy in a person, or somebody who seems to be in such a hurry to do so much. And you would remember YNK.
Yes.
Yeah? So YNK gave Shankar a kind of a mantra for life. We took YNK to our farm. We had just bought the farm land, and we put a stone in one place and said one friend's house will come here, another friend's house will come there, and our house will come there. And YNK in his profound way said, you know, if you have seen it in the eye of your mind, it already exists.
Typically.
He said it already exists. And that became like a mantra for Shankar. So every time when he wanted to do the ropeway, he would say, I see it. Don't you see it?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I see it. Don't you see it? So that was really a man in a hurry, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He had suddenly realized the power of popularity.
And
that this popularity could be used to propel so many projects, whether it was the metro rail for Bangalore, or it was telemedicine. Those days computers had not yet come, mobile phones had not yet come. So he wanted to do a helicopter service for emergencies.
Yeah, like the bush doctors.
Yes, and take doctors there or bring the patients to Bangalore. He wanted everything for Karnataka, really.
Yeah.
In fact, when he went to England, I think that time Ramakrishna Hegde had resigned and he inherited Bommai as the chief minister for the delegation that went out there. And Shankar spent his own money and went, and I said, why are you going? Why are you spending so much money and going? And he said, you know, whatever I am today is because of this state, because of the popularity in this state. And if just by spending a little money and going out there, I can bring a railway for the city, I will have done my payback.
It is a very altruistic belief that he had.
Absolutely, different way of thinking. So sometimes too much of good and too much of running around, I would say, Guy, can you just slow down a bit? You know the famous Beatles song, slow down, you move too fast, you got to make the morning last.
Yes. This is like the title of one of the films, Minchina Ota.
Yes.
Right? Because it describes, you know, and maybe this, at this certain, when you said you came back and did the accounts for the day and said, I've talked to so-and-so and I've done my job of going with my, you know, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi kind of thing. Did you at that point, I mean, it's a very silly question, of course you did miss him, but did you feel those moments of despair at all? What am I doing?
No. It had to be done. It had to be done. The only time I acutely missed his physical presence was when we did a tribute to him on his first death anniversary. We did Mother Courage, The Tall Breast. That was the last conversation we shared.
I see.
He said, when we come back, will you do Mother Courage? And I said, yes. That was the last conversation. So when I was in hospital, Suri adapted the play.
Huliava.
Yeah. And that became Huliava, which we performed on his first anniversary. So when we were rehearsing, around that time, there was this dream that came to me where he's sitting there, you know, HN Kalakshetra, the open air theatre at the back. They have the pillar and just a little bit of a pedestal. He's sitting there with his finger in his mouth like that and looking at rehearsals, and I'm saying, you can't sit there on your butt, you've got to get up and come here. What the hell are you doing over there? You know, this kind of a conversation.
In the dream?
Yeah.
My God.
In a dream. And also before the first performance, I was very, very nervous because I hadn't performed without him anywhere, physically absent. I hadn't performed on stage right from the word go, because I met him when I was 17. So almost my first play, not my first play, but I'd done 2-3 plays before I met him. So I was worried. I said, oh my God, is this going to come in the way? Will I be able to deliver? I mustn't become a bundle of nerves on stage. I took my entry and I knew that I was okay. Nothing was going to come between me and my theatre.
Right.
So, yes. So as far as theatre is concerned, no.
Right.
Again, if I am a nimitta, then he also is a nimitta.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because the goal was common. Both of us wanted to build a theatre.
Right.
So, because he is not there, this theatre is called Ranga Shankara.
Absolutely.
If he was there, it would have been called something else.
Yes. Right. And you're pointing to the board, it says 15 years of theatre alive. For you, it is 25 years. And, you know, and it is means something more to you, more magical to you than 15 years. And we were talking about it just before we started. Now, why is this 15 years so important to you? Now, it marks 25 years since the project began.
Yeah, for the people it's 15 years. For the people.
You personally.
For me it's 25, maybe even more. It's 29 years since Shankar went, and we had thought of building a theatre in the Suchitra premises, in the Chitrakala Parishad premises, at least 2-3 years before that. So as far as wanting to build a theatre is concerned, it's a dream that every theatre person has nurtured at some point of time or the other.
Absolutely. I think it's a nice note to end on, 15 years, and give the audiences something more. And like you said, look forward to the generation next, or waiting in the wings perhaps, or waiting in the audience.
Absolutely, we don't know where they are.
Fill this inner space here that you've built.
Yeah, I think this is a beautiful baby.
Yes.
It's had more than 6,000 performances.
Isn't that staggering?
On this stage. More than 10.5 lakh people have watched plays in more than 30 languages. So, you know, it's this variety. Celebrating the richness of languages of India. I mean, as I speak to you in English, but Kannada is an extremely rich language, and we are so proud. We really have a 60-40, 60%, 70% of our plays are Kannada plays, and the rest are Hindi, English, Marathi, other language plays.
15 years of theatre, which is actually, as you were saying, so many languages that has been spoken in this space.
More than 30 languages.
Right. In a city, in a state which is...
No, these are plays that we invite plays from all over the country at our annual festival every year. We invite those plays that would otherwise not come.
Right.
So you would have a play in Maithili or a play in Sanskrit invited so that our audiences get to see it.
That's wonderful. So they are also maintaining the link of languages known and unknown to people who know and not know it.
Absolutely.
And that's the magic, I think, in a cosmopolitan city, as you said, with 70-30% of people who speak other languages and 70% of people speak Kannada, hopefully still speak Kannada.
No. Kannadigas are in a minority right now, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I guess that's the nature of this city. It has become the IT capital and the hub of the world. So it will attract, it has attracted people from all over the world.
Right.
And in that there has been a little bit of marginalization of the original occupants of this city. But Bangalore historically also has always had people from other languages. And we are very happy because I'm a person, even as I speak to you in English, my mind thinks in Hindi or Marathi or Gujarati or Kannada, and I believe that people should learn the language of whichever land they go to.
Yes.
And in that spirit, Ranga Shankara really showcases 60% or more Kannada theatre plays, and 40% is the other languages.
Maithili, you said, is surprising, and Sanskrit.
Maithili, Swahili, Ahomis, and of course our Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, Gujarati, all those are there.
So it's and you can hear the music happening right now, and the ambience is suddenly started, and it seems to be a good point to, say thank you very much. Adieu. But then in theatre, after the applause, the curtain should go up the next day again, and we shall hopefully be back for another chat.
Absolutely.
But as of now, it's been a pleasure talking to you about the long journey of Ranga Shankara through the years.
Thank you so much. Thank you, really. This has not been mine alone. I mean, I had propelled it, but I think this is the journey of many people. No project like this can ever stand on the strength of one person. So it's a dream, and there are so many people, you say parokshawagi, whether it is right there or just by merely sending positive thoughts, they help keep this space up. And I think that speaks volumes for Bangalore as a city. It has people who are constantly wishing the best for this space. That gives me hope, that makes us feel, when you're encouraged, finally this is not about money.
Right.
I don't draw a salary out of here. And nobody is making a killing out of the money that comes here. It's really just this good thoughts and good words when people come and tell us, hey, you're doing a good job. You feel energized to do more.
Fills the place with
do more.
Right. And since you said parokshawagi, or whatever, I would say, ishtotte nam jote matadike, instead of saying dhanyavad, I say bahut shukriya. and शुक्रिया फिर मिलेंगे कुछ देर के
फिर
बाद
मिलेंगे इंशाल्लाह
इंशाल्लाह ईश्वर तो
Thank you.
माता देके
ಹೌದು.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's been a pleasure.